I'm coming, I'm coming. I wonder who could possibly coming at this sort of hour. I wonder if it's my guest. Well, there's my question. Hello anime fans, this is Dragon Videos ready to present a new video. This time we're gonna get wild with the anime, or more specifically with My Hero Academia. So how many of you have come across these sorts of quizzes where basically you're asked what sort of animal is your spirit? What sort of guide you have? Well, if some of you are fans of Brother Bear or any of those shows where it involves having an animal partner at your side, well, that's the kind of video I decided to go with. Or more specifically, decided to go through the characters of some media and then talk about their aspects or personalities that reflect that specific animal and why I think that they're their spirits or respective guides in life. My Hero Academia, I believe, was the best example I would come up with. After seeing the show so many times and looking into the characteristics of each individual, I decided to focus on a small group that has been appearing or will appear later in the anime. Mostly because of how they interact with one another or how they build the story. Keep in mind, you're not going to have all your favorite characters, and I can't help it, there's a lot of them. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the wild concept. Who knows, maybe you and this character are the same sort of animal. So how many of you have guessed I would do the main protagonist first? Well, if you were saying Izuku is the first one I would talk about, then you're right. Izuku is such a fascinating character to talk about, even though at the beginning he wasn't exactly hero material. He proved us wrong in so many ways. So in this one, there's like two animal spirits I feel like he has. So with his gentle personality and modest nature, he really does seem to be the kind of person that people will want to open up to and basically hug. So the bunny, or the rabbit, is the most appropriate animal I can think of. Not only is the rabbit supposed to be symbolized as a meek nature, but it also represents a certain humility to them. How many of you have read stories about the rabbit doing a wonderful job? Aside from Peter Cottontail, another story that I'm familiar with is a Chinese tale about a rabbit who tossed his body into the fire and let the strange homeless man, who turns out to be a deity, feed on his body, and thus his sacrifice resulted in him in charge of making a medicine that would make people immortal. And that is something Izuku would do. He would risk his own body in order to set things right. And based on these qualities alone, I can't help but think of another animal that I thought would be an ideal animal spirit. And here's a hint. How many of you are familiar with the phrase, king of the jungle? Ding 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 ding! If many of you had guessed the lion, then you are correct. The lion is a symbol of courage, as well as found in tapestries and many crests of arms. Usually, the lion defends his pride. He goes out of his way to make sure that he keeps his status and power in check, while the female lionesses just make sure that food is kept within the pride. So of course, with lions, they basically look out for each other, despite the blazing heat, hyenas, and other scavengers. These guys really know how to stand up and fight for themselves and for their kind. Lions are really the king of the jungle for a good reason. In this case with Izuku, he's very kind and he focuses on what matters in life and what he has to do in order to become a hero. Even though he'll get reprimanded a couple of times, it never stops him from achieving his dream. So basically, if a lion is the king of the jungle, someday Izuku's gonna be the king of heroes. In Season 1, Bakugo wasn't exactly my favorite character in the show, and one of the things that makes him such an issue is his personality. He's always explosive and angry the majority of the time, but it gets better later in the series. Though most people will probably think a bull would be very appropriate since he's so explosive, again with his personality. And of course there's also the rhino, because some people would think that he's the kind of person who would charge in without thinking. Though the rhinos do symbolize tenacity, which suits Bakugo since he always focuses on his goals and makes sure he gets them in the positive direction. As well as when he's fighting, he pays attention to the situation he's in and knows when to fight or flight. The bear is ideal for him mostly because bears, though they look dumb, they are actually very fierce and at times clever hunters. How many of you live in areas where bears are and you would find them sitting in your house? Because that can't happen. Or better yet, they can get their claws on anything and still try to figure out how to open cans, open cars, basically give them anything and they'll try to figure out how to work better. Unfortunately, it's because of that they encounter a lot of problems when they're around humans. So, again, with Bakugo, even though he is very brash, he shows some respect to his opponents, as well as he bears in mind that his strength can also be his undoing. So, he shows that he's not too reckless with his power. Ochako, in my personal opinion, was a bit of a hard one to figure out in terms of what animal suits her. She's bubbly, but on the one hand, she definitely knows of how to put on a fight, especially when it's called for. And I felt the cranes seemed very suitable for her, mostly because they're very agile, graceful, and they definitely know of how to fly in an efficient way. So of course, birds would fit her so well. And of course, when it comes to fighting, Ochako really does have a good way of nailing down her opponents. Same with the cranes, when they're dueling for a mate and such, they'll use their legs to take down their opponent. So you can sort of say they can kick butt, just don't expect them to kick you. Started liking Ida a bit more as we continued with the series, as well as the fact that he's very straight-laced, not to the point where it's annoying, but at least it shows that he's very dedicated to his work as being a superhero, but also being as a class rep as well. So I thought for an ideal spirit animal, a horse would suit him well. Not only is it because they're a symbol of nobility, which you would probably see in medieval knights, and of course, if you notice, Ida's armor resembles that a bit. The horse also represents freedom and speed, which also fits well with his quirk since it always gives him very fast abilities. And how many of you own horses that are so stubborn it's almost impossible to get through to them? Well, with Ida, I thought it was a cool idea because he always sticks with his goals no matter how high the stakes. Shoto Todoroki was always the strong and silent type of Class 1A. In Season 1, he didn't do much, but in Season 2 and progressing forward, he was a bit more active and we learned more about his backstory. He's very temperamental when it comes to his family, let alone talk about them. So I thought the armadillo would be appropriate for the hot portion of him because, one, they live in the desert, and plus, their armor plating would always protect them from harm. which fits Todoroki's personality because he rarely opens up to anyone except for Izuku, Ida, and Bakugo. And of course Momo. The fox I also thought would have been an ideal animal as well because he's very cunning at what he does. When it comes to his power, he pays attention to how he uses it and when it's called in a situation. Though this is the fun developing his fire abilities a bit better, he still has to put in more caution when he's using them, especially in a fight. Of course, what video wouldn't be perfect without All Might, the symbol of peace, the #1 hero, and the mentor of Class 1A. He always was a father figure to everyone that was in that class, including to Izuku. Whenever the going gets tough, they support each other all the way. And of course, when it comes to a high-stakes situation, he always stands tall and keeps smiling to ensure the safety of others. The stag, I thought, was one of special animal that would be the spirit guide because not only are they associated with royalty, they also have great strength. They also symbolize fertility and the tree of life, which is usually where, even though there's death all around you, life still continues on, and it's a great balance. And even though that deer seem fragile, they actually been through so much, like wolves and hunters. There's been a few deer that actually lived for a very long time. And of course, even though All Might is very thin and sickly later on in the show, he still doesn't let that stop him from what he does as a hero and a mentor to Izuku. The Triceratops I also thought was an ideal dinosaur or spirit animal, mostly because not only are they tough, and no, I'm not making fun of the fact that he's an old man, even though we've yet to know his age. Even though the Triceratops was on the brink of extinction and kept going in existence, it was rumored to be the last dinosaur for the fall of the Cretaceous period. And of course, when it came to protecting those they loved, it was not enough. Like all dinosaurs, the Triceratops captures a lot of imagination and inspires a lot of people. And for All Might, he was a huge inspiration to a lot of people despite how shriveled up he was, especially when he took on All for One. So, he was basically the greatest of them all. Erasure Head doesn't look like much outwardly, and his personality, well, it's yet to be desired. He always has a terrible sense of humor that always gives his students a heart attack every few seconds. But when it comes to the danger, he really shows that he is a hero and capable of protecting his students. And when it comes to the public, he voices it in a way where it doesn't give him a negative aspect. So, people have always said that he's resembled a cat. So if I were going with that direction in terms of a spirit animal, I figured Black Panther with it. And no, I'm not talking about the Marvel hero Black Panther. What I'm actually talking about is the real-life Black Panther. Some of you may be familiar with the character Pangera from Jungle Book. He taught Mowgli how to survive in the wilds of the jungle. Also, they're very fierce in protecting those they care about, which I thought fit well with Ozawa because he's cool, calm, collected, and when it comes to attacks, he really can nail you down. Since Season 4 is coming up, I thought it'd be great to talk about Eri. She really is a wonderful character, and her role in the arc might come later in the manga. Right now, her spirit animal is the unicorn. Unicorns are a symbol of purity. And yes, some of you may notice that she has one horn sticking out of her head, and she has snowy white hair. And of course, Eri really is a kind and caring person, which makes her very pure at heart. Unicorns also play a large role in healing others rather than healing themselves. know, logic is the truth. So that's it for my video. If any of you have any suggestions of your favorite character and their ideal spirit animal, please let me know. This is Dragon Dale signing off.